you.
Well, hi. It's a good thing that we don't need to introduce ourselves. And for sure, our speech will be messy and not so organized as everyone else's. So.
Yeah, Isabel mentioned about the technical stuff of our speech, and it is actually the small part of it because we just wanted to share a bit our experience and our ideas about one of the installations that we made, and there is a fun part of it that is not even less important than technical. So we will tell about the whole of it.
So yeah. As Isabel said, we call Curiosity Media Lab, and that installation was presented first time in the Moscow gallery called Mars. And that was place where we based on for a couple of years, and that's why our studio actually called Curiosity, because we were on Mars, like roving this this gallery. Unfortunately, it's already not existing in the same form, but that was a great time, and that was a place where TouchFest was going on. That it was in a year after this installation, 2016.
Yeah, the TouchFest was 2016, and actually, yeah, the gallery plays an important part in all this because for 2 years they managed to create a really crazily managed, totally out of any financial reasoning situation where strange computer freaks and actually Touch community consolidated because they were not controlling what was going on, and they managed the situation to be maximum creative. And for 2 years we were producing stuff, and probably this things like this could happen only in this situation. And of course, in the end, as the result of this management, they went bankrupt, of course, yeah. But for 2 years that was really super interesting and fun.
So this is a story about installation called Genome of Luck, and you see the logotype of this installation. It's written in Russian, Genome of Luck, actually. It was a part of Moscow Biennale and the exhibition project called Orient Express. And the only thing we had as an input is that subject of the Biennale, it's Oriental. That means that it's something like Eastern, and we should come up with some idea about what our object will be related with this subject.
Okay, so yeah, and the thing is that being in the gallery, part of the deal, we did not pay for the room. For our laboratory, but part of the deal was that we had to produce from time to time some installations for different exhibitions, and it was also nice because they pushed us to work more and to experiment. And for this Biennale, we had actually that was obligatory to produce something, and the topic was a bit about artificial life and about not even artificial life, but something like life type, biology style,
Well, it was like we just bump up to this subject. We just accidentally started playing with this software which called Evolved Virtual Creatures, which been created by Carl Sims.
Yeah, and Carl Sims is actually a very inspiring person. If you didn't have chance to meet his works, he's got a website, and he's one of the. He was in the MIT. He was one of the researchers, and he worked for a lot of. He had a Gen Arts, the company of his own, but previously he worked for very serious companies working with artificial intelligence and stuff like this. And he himself made and programmed or at least curated the programming of several instruments who are still very interesting. It was like in the 80s. And when we found it for the first time, we were like astonished how interesting and how cool the world was already when we were just born, and how many. Yeah, and this is Carl Sims giving some interview just to have a look at him in like 80s. And we started to play with his simulator, with this evolving virtual creature simulator, and yeah, that's the videos of how it looks, but actually we can, yeah, we can now run it just for you to see. And so the main idea is, if you did not have chance to get acquainted with those concepts, the main idea is that you use mathematical algorithms that actually copy the real algorithms of biological reproduction. So you have certain operations like recombination, mutation, and stuff, and you have a population where you can apply those operations, and then you select the most from the quite random variants of what happened. You can select yeah, by natural selection. You can select the most strong and combine them firstly. But still, the algorithm also lets the weak ones survive sometimes in some proportion, and also donate to the future generations parts of their genome. In reality, it is like the DNA is consisted of like millions and even more nucleotides and stuff like this. In digital evolution, the genome is described by quite simple letters and symbols that also combine with the same rules, actually, just randomly mixing parts of it and generating finally by special rules, generating out of those new combinations, generating new creatures that can be tested in 3D environment with dynamics, with forces, and with the neuron networks that also participate here to drive actually to fire certain muscles that can produce motion. So after this simulation, you can see how far, for example, if you are training an artificial creature to run, after each test, you can see how far it is from the starting point. If it is better than the others, it is like the best, and it copulates with like the second best, and those parameters have the priority, and they come to the other generation in the most percent, and down by the results. So.
So yeah, and we played with this tool and thought about what can we do with this, and in what artistic framework we can put it, what we can do with this as an artist. Yeah, this is a really smart thing, and our concept was actually the opposite of this smartness. It's like maximum stupidity to put it on. So this is Oriental. This is really was a very Oriental like framework also. We just decided to do underground casino, which use this technology use these creatures as the subject of competition.
Yeah, and one of the inspirations for this, really, when you see it all, you're so inspired, and actually everything is already done. You can just only watch it and just get astonished. But another inspiration came from us walking once in Moscow, and at that time the virtual reality Gear VR stuff only started to come to Moscow, and nobody, like all artists, wanted to try to play with it and to produce something new, and nobody had a chance to play with it because it was just only appearing and expensive. And what we saw, there is a it is a special type of car with black glass, guys with sport outfit, and they look like bandits, like really like I don't know. And they are giving people and there is a huge line of like mothers with children, like grannies, and they're all in a line to take it on. And they're giving it for money, for 200 rubles. They're letting people see inside, and what is there, you cannot even imagine, because they probably some demo, because it just came out. There could not be any artwork, I think. So it probably was some demo of of the technology, and like people were lining in a huge line. So that was so evident that when something cool, some cool technology emerges, the first guys who will, make use of it, make profit of it, would be those outlaw, underground people, because they are very quick in implementing stuff. So like sometimes you produce a technology and you don't know what to do with it, but those guys know. Like they immediately take it and produce some pornography, produce some I don't know what, but they would be the first, and that's why we decided to make the same idea. So we decided to use this super clever technology for producing the sweepstakes. So it is like a underground casino of Chinese type or whatever. I don't know, some Asian.
Yeah, like Thai underground chicken fights, or I don't know, something like that. That was one of the first sketches of this. It's made in Photoshop and so on.
Okay, we skipped already the simulation programs, but I like it so much that I was really eager to show them. But okay, you can find it in the internet, actually on Carl Sim's site. You can download it and play around with it. So okay, so the idea was to make a special environment, digital and physical at the same time, like in a theater. Where you can feel yourself on the very deep social, social background, where you come to spend the last of your money, being drunk and smoked and whatever, playing like the last chance, putting your last $10 to win the run of some virtual organism, and they were like they were supposed to be look illegal. So and that's what kind of atmosphere we were trying to reproduce in this gallery. And the Mars actually was the only gallery who could, who really took all this seriously, and who said, okay, let's do it, no problem. We have a law that prohibits.
Digital evolution, no problem. We don't understand what it is about, but we know that sweepstakes is cool.
Yeah, the director of Mars is really, I think he deserves a monument, and one day he will get it probably, because in Moscow at that time casinos were prohibited, like by law. You could get sued, you could get prosecuted for that. Then you cannot drink and smoke in places, and they gave us that permission because we said we need this atmosphere, like the total freedom. People should smoke there. There should be smoke everywhere. They can get drunk if they want, and like it is a casino. So, and they said, okay, no problem, let's do it.
Yeah, so this is first render of the environment we planned to do. This was a really big room with the table in the center. Of course, our creatures in reality was not so 3D. There was projections on the flat surface of the table, and this mesh made of steel around them, so they can't run away. And all this atmospheric stuff which can be related with underground casino or something like that. So this is digital render, and that was the process of building this stuff. So it actually was really complicated in terms of decorations and the objects we should make. There was graffiti on the walls produced especially for this installation. This is boxes on which people could sit on, and
yeah, we could not just use chairs, of course, in such an atmosphere. It should be like boxes from tomatoes, like rotten in the best way, but we could not make them rotten finally. So they produced them, burned them a little bit with the fire, and like.
Yeah, that's a basic like structure of the space. The table on the center and the boxes and the projections on the walls. The front wall and the back wall. There were projections of these creatures. It was like advertising of them. Also, there was a lot of posters around, like in some dirty gym. With the
yeah, with sexual content and stuff like that, like half naked women, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and like stuff like you can find in some outfit club, but of the lowest the lowest type. Yeah. So this is the photo of how this finally looked, and. The light, of course, made a bit beauty to it, and probably it deserved a little bit less.
Yeah, it becomes too beautiful eventually. That's unfortunate. But yeah, there was a lot of light there. There was a strobe under the table. These virtual creatures use neural network to control the muscles, as Jan told before. So we recorded a couple of lectures about neural networks, especially so on the wall there is projection with one of them. This is a lecture about neural network.
Yeah, and also we did some. Actually, back to the idea. The installation is called the Genome of Luck. This is, in our opinion, the most vivid and stupid name for a casino type, for a small, cheap casino type, attraction. So the luck, you use your genome for luck. I don't know how. Actually, we took the inspiration from some advertisement in the internet that you have to watch before you see the movie, like 7 seconds. You have to see some vulcan of luck or something else. So yeah, and that's why it is called Genome of Luck. And we also did some advertising videos in the internet to attract people to come and play and stuff like this.
Yeah, we'll switch on the technical side a little bit later. It was built completely with TouchDesigner, completely, but on the exclusion of the actual simulation of these creatures. They were made with the framework called Framsticks. We'll play with it a little bit later, and now let's see how it looked in motion, how this like racing. If you have sound, it would be nice. You have? No? Just a second.
Yeah, so here you can see that two creatures that were bred by those genetic algorithms are put on the table, and at a certain moment, when the bets are made, they start to run. And when you use genetic algorithms, you never know what shape the creature would take, because the fitness function, the main criterion for it to survive is just that it can run. It can jump, it can crawl, it can do whatever it can to be quick. and sometimes some creatures were much quicker than the others, and for those who we had some student friends who really came to earn money to our casino, and they were like bringing 200 rubles, and there were always like visitors who don't care, they just put thousands, and we never tried to equalize this, you know, like figure out some percent. We did not care. You put the money in, you get a whiskey glass, and that's it. Like if you take 50 and thousands, like if you win, you take all. Like you take thousands, no problem. Yeah, because we are on the territory of art, so we cannot be that, you know, accurate, and there is no point. So those student guys, they knew which are quicker sometimes, and they came and they made the right decision. But it could happen that these quick ones could orient themselves not correctly and could run away from the finish line. And several times it happened that being totally sure that you are a winner already, something happened in the middle and it gradually went away. Yeah, and it was a disappointment. People were shaking the cage, crying. Yeah, this one, this guy was trying to earn money on, and he was most of the time it was successful. Actually, he could do it. Yeah, this is one of the ads that was in the internet. Also in a special style to look true. He's telling about that genetics is the most fashionable now. Come and make money with genetics.
Yeah, because still technology which lays underground under this installation is really complicated, and you should understand how evolution works. And if you really want to understand how the digital evolution, this software works, you should understand how really a lot of things about biology and so on. And
yeah, the Mars Gallery was also very innovative in a way, because they wanted to make money so crazily. They advertised themselves on TV and on the billboards, and like no gallery in my memory did not go that far. I mean, they were advertising themselves like they were, like, you know, selling yeah, I don't know, some mass goods. Yeah, and yeah, but it really brought they were probably the only gallery that crazy, and for some reason it worked well for pretty long time, for more than 2 years. And this Zhenya now is showing the Framsticks. Actually, it is the simulator which produces these creatures, which make all the simulations, and it can grow. It can make the creatures evolve here. So he'll probably put some simulation.
yeah, it's much more complicated than 3D virtual creatures which been created by Carl Sims 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's really a nice thing to play with, and it's free in the internet.
It is for commercial. I think it is not free, but like we we were not commercial. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, still you can use it with some limitations, and we fit in that limitation. So anyway, this is the engine. It makes the simulations. It simulates the physics. It simulates the muscle work, the neural networks, and stuff like this. And actually, it also gives a very nice API that Zhenya will.
Yeah, before that. This is how creature describes. It consists of this pseudocode.
No, it is
not. This code describes actually morphology of this creature and the neural network which contracts his muscles. So there is the muscles and the bones. And this part describes the bone structure, like bone rotation, like push bones and connect them, like to move in some way. And this is a visualization of neural network which controls it, so it's very, very fancy.
Yeah, it is not L systems, but it is. It does not rewrite itself, but there is convention how you using these simple symbols, how you can build joints, and like in the square brackets actually. Square brackets does the same as L system. It starts a new a new line. So yeah, that's you could run the simulation on different speeds. It can be like 1,000 times quicker than real time, or you can watch it in real time. Just sit and meditate on it. But anyway, to grow somebody from scratch, you need maybe a day or two. So like average creature that we grew was like more than a day. Yeah, and but sometimes it can, if you leave it for the night and you do not change any parameters and do not take care of what's going on, it can overfit, and sometimes the brain structure grew that big that it could not move at all in the end. Like you came up in the morning and there is something really huge and totally uncontrollable, like it's sending signals all around, but it cannot move, and you understand that it went over its peak of where you had to change something to to push it to running, and it overdid the fitness.
So one of the problems was to make them run forward, not like on the circles, not to the right, to the left, and make them run forward, because the fitness function, which determines which of the population will turns to the next generation, is about the length from the creation of from the start point, how far he will run in any direction. So it can run by circles, but the only thing is important, so it will be somewhere. So yeah, I'll show later the actually software part which directs these creatures in some way. Also, in our installation, we have like visualization of evolution of these creatures before.
Yeah, the idea was to help you to make a decision with your bets. We were showing the quick, speeded up evolution of the parents, and in the run there was already participating the last child, the final offspring of the previous, so that it would be not totally vivid. But still, you could, of course, by the video, you could make a quite good prediction. And the thing is that all the simulation was made with Framsticks, and then through OSC it sent its points to TouchDesigner, and we received that, and visualization was totally made in TouchDesigner. So like instancing of boxes. It was also quite a quick project. It was we had to do it in like 10 days, so probably we could play much more with that, and I think we maybe will. But still, that was very nice that we could get all these coordinates of the joints, and we could make different visualizations to make the audience like not bored by the very mathematical look of it. What I personally like, but like people from outside, sometimes they want.
Just a second. So this is a file which runs whole the system. It starts Framsticks. Framsticks, and Framsticks have an API which should be created in JavaScript, and there was a JavaScript in this API of Framsticks, and there was a Python connector which control the API and transform the information from Framsticks to the OSC, to TouchDesigner, where was all the controls of the light, of the actually phases of the installation. Is it like advertising or the race actually, or something like something?
Yeah, but as it was to be used as an installation, so like we made the sweepstakes with like giving everybody alcohol and like stuff, but in the whole cycle, like in the gallery every day, it sometimes worked on its own. So like it had to make a certain cycle of steps. So one of the steps was explaining about digital evolution in a certain manner. The other step was like making decision of on what to bet, and then it was the sweepstakes itself. So Zhenya had to use a state machine.
Well, just about API. I just want to talk about API of Framsticks a little bit more. So there it is. This is this file consists function for creating these creatures, for keeping them running straight, to rotate them slowly to the right or to the left if they like trying to escape from the narrow tunnel we want them to be. Just a second. Yeah, so this is loading. And also this function transmits all the data about rotations and the positions of the bones of this creature to touch via OSC. And there is only part of visualization. So this is JavaScript part. This is Python part, which works as an independent process, and the purpose of it is just to translate the data from Framsticks to touch and to control all stages of our evolution, the speed of it, and all the phases. So and respond to the commands which it receives from TouchDesigner. And this is our actually fancy patch, or not, as always.
Yeah, remember 2 years ago in Berlin, we were swearing that we will never do that again. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the OSC part, which receives the positions and rotation of bones of the creature. Yeah, that part receives the amount of joints inside each creature, so we could know how many balls, lines, and so on we should create to visualize it. Also, we used here state machine to switch the stages of our installation. Just a second. So yeah, this is the basic stages of how it works. It's an intro, it's pause, it's a lecture about neural networks. It's another pause, it's an introduction, and they actually run, and someone wins and someone loses, and it's going back. So I used here our state machine, which has been created not for this project, but yet it looks like a switching machine. Just oh. Yeah, that's actually how stages are switching.
Yeah, here on the screen is the technical interface. Like you can see all the streams at the same time. They were distributed around the room, like they were because we saw the sweepstakes from different cameras. We rendered it from different cameras and put it in different pieces of the room, like to make it more like stadium environment. But on the technical screen, we had them all just together.
Yeah, so this is actually a run of these creatures. It's a real-time simulation. It's really simulating in here, in this process. And this creature is determined, so we spend a lot of time to make them evaluating in this form and shape, and to like tame them and train them to be in one speed, more or less. So you can predict probably who will win, but not always
in
at
this
all,
situation, of course, you will think that this jumping guy is going to win, and he will probably. Oh no, not really. Oh, sorry. But sometimes they are so like vividly cooler than the previous. But something can happen, and they can stick into each other, and it can break a leg. This dynamic simulator also works with that. So you can break a muscle or break a bone, and then it is not that quick anymore. It just nothing works. He sends the neurons send the signals, but it produces something strange. And yeah, well, once it was really like somebody already almost won, and then they broke his leg, his leg. Yeah, and he could not move anymore. Yeah.
So yeah, this is a technical interface, and here we can see the actual projection on the table. It's the largest part. This is one projection on one floor, and this is projection inside the windows on the other floor. So this is an actual visualization of evolution process, which we recorded. Well, I don't know what to say else.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So, yeah, we will just show the last video how it looked in reality, probably with the sound if we will be lucky. Because actually this atmosphere is the most important of all. Like the technical stuff inside is very important to make it to make the situation evident, but like serious. But the main idea is not the techniques. The main idea here is like that how it is used. So. So yeah, we're trying to be critical on using our technologies.
Yeah, every week we buy a whiskey bottle.
Twice
Twice a week.
A bottle of whiskey came to this sweepstakes. Everybody came on a certain time, and
it was an event on Facebook to organize the event once a week. All other time, this installations works just in circles without people, mostly only with the rare visitors in gallery.
I still keep a visit card of one of casino guys who said like he called me. And I said it's a joke. Don't take it so serious. We are
hilarious.
No, you should call me. And I haven't even met with him afterwards, but that was like we cannot do that. What they wanted. So. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. So.
Thanks, guys. I knew it was going to be crazy. Questions? All right.
Have you had any thoughts of changing it from digital to physical?
Yeah, that would be nice, but how can we do it? Maybe you can tell us.
Actually, I was thinking about that, and you mean the robots, like motors and
Something, yeah.
something that will run in reality. Yeah, it is. It is really complicated to teach it. I mean, in real time, you could or you can you cannot stop life. You know, you cannot take the time you need to analyze all the information and return it back in the right way to train it. So it would be, I think it would be very difficult to train them on our level, like not being Boston Dynamics, being like in the Mars gallery. But that's a cool idea, and probably one day we'll try to do something with that.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. All the way in the back.
Hey, thanks for the talk. How do you approach working in humor into your work? Because you kind of have like this really funny idea at the core of it, like making this virtual underground casino and creating these like ads to get people to come. And then you have like a really interesting and intuitive technology behind it and a whole well thought out production, like kind of in your process in making these installations that have some humor and lightheartedness to them. How do you approach that?
No, I think it was a bit of a chance, of course, but I told in the beginning that one of the inspirations was this guys showing the Gear VR stuff to a lot of people, not even having anything to show, like, and grabbing money for that. And like when you see a business like this in the street, you are like, wow, you can do things like this, and like you understand that life is kind of weird. So you can mix. You can have the best technology in the world, and you can use it the worst way. And like. Yeah, probably that's why, and of course they let us do that. So we were almost sure that they wouldn't the gallery, I mean, wouldn't go for the half of our demands, but they took everything. They were actually mostly interested in the exhibition to work and the tickets to be sold. So all the rest they just did not care, and that was really they inspired us also in a way to go further and try to make it more crazy, and they were again okay. So
Yeah, and actually it's one of the features of our like work to use humor to communicate this or that idea, and to talk about place of high tech in our world. In our world, I mean, also our world in Moscow, in Russia, and so on. Yeah, and that's one of the features actually to use humor in this media art activity we're doing from time to time.
It's a follow-up. It's sort of a follow-up, and it's kind of a hard one. So if you want to pass, it's okay. Why to you is humor a good method of communication?
For us, maybe it is the only method, because when you produce some technological miracle, you are a wizard. But when you don't produce, you have to produce something else. Like you have to produce some experience or some emotion, and I don't know. Humor is the most democratic, the most the best interface between people, I think, and it is totally international, and it is totally independent it is not totally independent of cultures, but still, when it works, I mean, when humor works, then already it is.
Thank you. We just done 3 hours workshop before, so sorry for
Hi, thanks for your talk and for the workshop earlier, which I attended. You started off by talking about Carl Sims's work, and I'm a real fan of his too. He's also known for his reaction diffusion work. Alan Turing, I think, came up with the equations for it in maybe the 40s, but he really pushed the limits of it with computer graphics rendering in the 90s, I think. So I'm just wondering which other people from maybe early artificial intelligence history you look to for inspiration in your work, perhaps other than Carl Sims. And also on the topic of artificial intelligence, I'm just curious if you've read Gödel, Escher, Bach by Douglas Hofstadter, which talks quite a bit about the combination of like genetic code and machine code.
This is a tricky question. I can't come up with an idea who technology we want to use in the next work in this style, like to put it somewhere.
I did not also read the book that you mentioned, and actually that would be very interesting to read. Actually, that was the project that pushed us into this topic, and we started to read like biology literature and evolutionary literature. We have some very famous popular writer in Russia who is very good at explaining stuff, like how molecules work, how it is all all this. Enzymes and everything, and it is hard for me now to name any like Richard Dawkins and guys like who come to mind. Immediately they inspire also, but probably there are somebody who will come up. Not right now.
Yeah, we just if you have an idea, you can tell us. Probably it will be more probable that you have an idea.
Hello, I'm Barak. Did you think to add another parameter to the genetically changing, in this case from the audience, like which robot is cooler, which robot walks more beautifully? And then the interaction with the audience will be maybe more fun, more cool.
But it is another story. It is like then they compete in dance, in beauty. That's a good idea. Actually, there was another method which is also very comprehensible for people, like to make them fight and kill each other. And yeah, we could take each of that, but I don't remember. Maybe running still was the easiest of all, and we had 10 days. So we decided not to, we had to deliver it in 10 days working.
No,
so
of course.
we could not play too much with the certain parts of it for too long. But it's a good idea, and yeah, probably we should explore that also.
I mean, as time goes, and hopefully in the next years, I'm also find TouchDesigner very good at closing the loop for, let's say, use the big words, AI, when you put a model that you taught and ready to do some tasks, and you put it in the real life and add new tasks to it and new abilities to it, and TouchDesigner is able to close the loop. And just like it's a nice reminder, like that sometimes it's not about how fast is the robot reach the line, but also how cool and beautiful it is. So
yeah,
that's
in this simulator we have a parameter called fitness function. This is actually the function which produces the number, and after that they sorting for aligned with these numbers. So if you can come up with an idea how to make a function which will assess the beauty of the creature, you can make a fitness function and make them compete for this. This is the only problem, how to make the fitness functions so they can evolve in the direction you choose. But default fitness function in Framsticks is just a distance, how fast it will be.
Actually, in Framsticks there is also like variety. You can make them fly, you can make them jump, you can make them, and that's the best way actually to evolve them. Not only by running, but sometimes to try to keep vertical position, for example, and simulate several cycles, like 1,000 cycles with that, and then it would be moving and trying to keep straight. It gives a more probability that it would not overfit and turn on into some crazy shit that cannot control itself. So you need to, yeah, there are several fitness functions, jumping, flying, swimming, but no beauty.
You may have mentioned this earlier. I saw one of Sim's later works in ICC in Tokyo, and Sim's work provided a grid of 5 by 5, like 25 variations of still images, and the audience picked one, and it made mutations on that. So the criteria can be totally arbitrary. It could be beauty, or it could just be, I want to see a variation on that one mixed with that one. So he was doing breeding, but it was all audience
if you use audience to choose, then you can do that. Yeah.
So that was one of Sim's things a little bit after this.
Yeah, but for evolving, they comes through the thousands of generations, so it's really will be really boring task to answer these questions so many times.
There is a project like Electric Sheep or something like this. Maybe you all know about it. That you can also in the website you can choose the most beautiful combination of parameters of a picture, and it evolves in that direction. Like it breeds with another most famous among the users, and they are all steadily evolving for many years already. Scott Draves, I think, is an artist who made that.
Yeah, I must say that like Sim's work and other guys like Jim Blinn and so on had a big influence on me before TouchDesigner and Prisms and Houdini came out. We always looked up to those guys as like, wow, if we could make software that does that kind of stuff. But you know, Sim's particle work and tree growth and all that kind of stuff was revolutionary at the time. So I still think, you know, we got a ways to go even to get close to some of his current things with this company. Janet.
But we feel your vector.
Oh, you feel the vector, okay.
Yeah, that's a really mysterious person. We're trying to find what he's doing now, and we found some mystical story that he disappeared and no one knows where he is now, and so on. And
Guys, I think we should continue this later because Harvey's here.
All right.
Harvey Moon is here to be our
thank
next
you.
presenter. Our last presentation